bring in Nick Faldo, the CBS lead golf analyst, was on the call yesterday at Kiowa. Phil, let me start out with, Nick, let me start out with the poll question. McLovin, would you give Nick the poll question?
Okay, most impressive old guy feat. Phil Mickelson winning at 50, Tom Brady winning a Super Bowl 43, Serena winning a major at 36, or LeBron winning an NBA title at 35?
Well, I'm going with Phil because, our game demands, it's an individual sport. Okay, so is tennis. But, we have to deal with so much. Tennis is a reaction sport, isn't it? Somebody whacks a ball at you and you leap around and get it. But golf, you've got to stand there and think about it. And for a long time, you're on the golf course for 5+ hours, and it's all that thinking time. And to deal with, the negativity or, anything from negativity, frustrations to loss of trust or whatever. That's what I think is so impressive with this. When you get older, you definitely lose your nerve. Phil's had to fight that in different ways. And this has been a really long process. He didn't fix this in the last 3 weeks or have this dream, I'm going to win. This has probably been a 3-year project, to get himself physically strong enough, fit enough, the dietary side, all that sort of thing. But then this mental strength is, for me, the most interesting one. I mean, we sat together at Augusta at the Champions locker room, and he asked me, how are you able to concentrate? And I said, well, I was fine. I said, because I had purpose in every shot. Even in practice, I had purpose. Probably came from when I was a kid, because when I started playing golf, I only had one green, one bunker, and one flag. So I was constantly aiming at something. So every shot had purpose. So that happened accidentally or naturally. So, I think maybe he gleaned a little bit from this, and he went into this new mode of being able to really focus and have clear intentions, 100% commitment. But more importantly, he dealt with a couple of those bad shots on Saturday really well. The 2 pulls on, was 12 and 13 with the tee, a couple of little blocks, but he hit a couple of great irons, 14 and 17 on Saturday. Comes out first green. How about that? Leaves the first putt 15 feet short. And you think, wow, well, that makes sense. You're 50. The nerves are going to get a bit jangled. And no, he had this, you could see the way he was completely in the zone, whether that was probably manufactured in some ways. Had to push himself to think through the process. I can relate to that. That's what happened to me in 96. It was, it was my best mental round, because I wasn't as super confident as early 90s. And you have to mentally, okay, all right, here we go. What am I trying? What do I want to do? How am I going to do it? How's it going to feel? Did I do all your go through the checklist where before it happened like that kind of thing. So I think that's why, putting all of that together, this really is an off the charts, incredible performance.
What's the first thing to leave you, though, as you get older as a golfer?
Yeah, well, I guess it will be, some say touch, I would say it's trust or self-belief, whatever that might, and if that gets dented, I don't know what the percentage would be, but obviously when you face shots, what you saw last week, with incredible demand, and you can see all the hazards everywhere. Darn well, if I pull it into that bunker and I go in the hay, I am in trouble. So that, I think, is what goes. You look down at golf ball and you're like, I don't like the look of that one. I don't like the look at that shot. And you don't know, and you try to deal with it and you can't. And so if you've gone into a shot thinking, I don't like this, it's a bit of negativity, and then it comes off negative, guess what? It's almost like a tick in the negative box, isn't it? Where if you face that challenge, you look down and go, I don't like that light. Oh, this is a really difficult shot. But I can move my target to, that will do me. And I can do this and I can do that. So you've walked your way through it, and then you stand up and do it. Well, then you've dealt with the situation. And that's what, that's what pressure is all about, isn't it? It's when the level of the intensity or the situation you're not prepared for, that's pressure. But if you have prepared and you know how to handle the situation, that's how you deal with pressure.
Why do you think Phil's the people's champion?
Well, he gives back. He gives good entertainment. He's not. he's a full-on entertainer now. Look at his social media, or he loves to entertain, and he comes up with his own words now and what have you. First man to call a chip shot sexy, so things like that. So,
but you didn't play that way. You were pretty focused. Could you have engaged, played to the crowd at all?
I would have loved to, because I believed. Again, it's your beliefs, isn't it? And where you come from and how you talk. I believe to stay focused and play within myself, and and I had to do that. And then I kind of kicked myself, because as you can tell, I got a bit more personality than what I probably displayed on the golf course. That my very good friend, sports psychologist, said, I could have taught you to switch in and out. You could have switched off and gone and reacted with the crowd, stolen the kid's bag of chips or something, something silly, come back to the bag and then go, as soon as you put your hand on the driver head or something, you can go back into golf mode. So I kind of wish I'd known that a lot earlier, but I didn't. But, Phil stayed in golfing mode that whole weekend, probably the whole week, but obviously very evident at the weekend how, some psychologists would say, you've got to wander off and dream of the purple monkey and all this sort of thing. But no, he walked and he was completely engrossed in what he was doing and staying and controlling himself. And I'm sure his heart was leaping out of his chest at times, but, he did he played great. Yes, he hit some really great shots, some unsung great shots. He hit a 5-iron out the rough at the 9th. I mean, that was a seriously good golf shot. That won't get talked about. But for me, when I saw that, landed it 20 feet, it was like, wow, that was very impressive. The 2 shots down 10, very impressive. And to have all of that incredible atmosphere between all those exchanges. We've never known anything like it. They had 5 exchanges of 2 shots or more, 3 shots on the second hole. We get one of those a weekend in a tournament. We all go, maybe there's a 2-shot swing here, and it doesn't happen. But have 5 of them in 10 holes, I thought that was riveting stuff, wasn't it? I thought you couldn't, golfer or non-golfer, that was worth watching.
More impressive, though, Tiger in 2019 at Augusta or Phil this weekend?
Yeah, well, Tiger is another amazing, Tiger went 11 years and all the surgeries and all that sort of thing. And yes, of course, Tiger's number one, your choice, Jack or Tiger, who's the greatest. So, I think the Tiger comeback was greater than this Phil one, but, this is incredible. It's why you have these shows. So you can sit and argue it for hours, whether it was 1, 2, or 3.
But Phil doesn't act, look, or play like he's 50, Nick.
No, well, that's credit to him.
Yes.
That's commitment.
That's
unbelievable. Unbelievable commitment. You've got to give him credit for that. He's changed. I spoke to him at the Masters in November, and because I went straight to, how do I get more club head speed? Because he's done a great job. Very few, as you get older, the club goes slower, doesn't it? But he suddenly comes out with 6 miles an hour more club heads, where 6 threes are 18. That's how we work it. A mile an hour gives you 3 yards. So 18 more yards, 20 more yards. And I said, like a rookie, how do I get more club head? Well, and he went, it starts with the mind. You've got to train the mind to tell the body to move faster. And okay, so I'm taking, and then you go to the gym and you start working on specific exercises, to get the power in the body in the right place, the explosion. So you go through all these different processes before you start swinging speed sticks and things like that to get the club, otherwise you'd tear your shoulders or something. So that was not a 5-minute process. That was months of training to build up to get to that. And, the dietary, he's done crazy diet things, when he goes on, whatever he goes on, his fruit diet for a week or so right before the Open, a couple of years. But anyway, it's commitment, incredible commitments. You cannot knock that in any way.
I thought what Brooks Koepka was attempting to do was equally impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick, he had a dislocated knee. He had ligament damage. He had surgery in March.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on one leg at Augusta.
Yeah.
But for him to be out there in the final group, I mean,
again,
pretty impressive.
I did mention if Phil was, the weekend goes, it's a mental game. Phil's mentally looking after his actual mind and his technique, and Brooks' mind was looking after his body. I gleaned that his team were unbelievably concerned, as he even said, when you've got 5 people watching you train and watching this knee. But he said he was taped up, he was on painkillers, all sorts of things like that. But they just wanted to get him to Monday. That he knew, actually the hardest thing apparently was, walking from green to tee through all the different sand areas, the wood planks and all this. So he was really concerned that one little slip, and he was even concerned, apparently even playing off uneven lies, even one knee up, one knee down. So, that was a huge mental effort on him. And just coming out and driving it poorly for that front nine. I mean, if he'd hit a decent tee shot on number 2 after birdie in 1, might have been a very different story, but it wasn't. He faltered. He really struggled to get the ball on the fairway until he finally found a couple at the end. So the Phil got managed to get the upper hand.
But also, you look at the par 5s, that was the difference. Phil was 3 under, and Brooks was 3 over.
3 yeah, brutal. Yeah, brutal. So he pulls the tee shot on 2, clatters in the trees, probably fortunate he didn't go in a hazard. And then I don't know why, I called it on there. I said, I don't know why he tried to hit a 3-wood on a left to right wind on 7 and blocks it into those trees. If that would have been, for me, sensible, knock it down front edge, or rather 80 yards, 60, 80 yards, pitch it in, that would have been a different story. So, and then he was struggling off the tee through down 11, 10 and 11, cost him a couple there. So, Phil played beautifully. He thought about every shot, committed everything. Short game was amazing. Didn't really miss a putt that really was going to be like, wow, he's in trouble. So it was excellent stuff.
What would you have shot on that course yesterday?
I'll still be finishing it. He's still out. Send out the search party.
No, it's like when they run the marathon, and then there's the guy who it's taken 8 hours to run the marathon.
Yeah, he comes in the next morning. No, I would hate to think on that wind. No, I'd be lucky to break 80. I really would. I think I actually might take. I would take a 78 right now, sitting here right now. I really would.
What's the biggest number you ever had on a hole?
I think I had a 10 once, I think. But you kind of delete that from your mind. So I'm going with 1. If I'm being really honest, I think it's once. But I'd probably tell everybody, no, 9 was my worst.
What's that like, though, when you're writing down a 10?
It's numbing, isn't it? Because you think,
I can tell you how I feel when I write down a 10.
Yeah. But when you got 3 on the card, it wasn't so bad. So, but when you do it for the first time, I played with Simon Hobdy, and he took a 10 on one hole, and he goes, "Okay, Simon." He said, "Relax. Count to 10. Good idea, Simon. Count to 10. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's out the almightiest F." Screaming across the golf course. 10. He says, "Okay, Simon, I feel a lot better now. That's better. Okay, off we go." So,
hey, there's some great players who put up big numbers.
Well, last week, I came up with a stat which I was amazed. 2010, they had 110 players had 7 or more. Wow. Well, it was 110 times it happened.
Yeah.
How about? And I think we were very close to it again. So that is quite shocking, is it? It's that there were 7, 8, 9s, and 10s last week. Yeah.
Humbling sport.
It sure is.
Hey, it's great to talk to you. And
all right, thanks.
Do you have any of your trophies there?
I do. What do you want to see?
Well, let me see what. So you
what
got
do you fancy?
You got 3 Masters.
Yeah. Give me a second.
Okay. All right. So Nick Faldo there with his. He won 3 Open championships and won the Masters 3 times. Finished second at the PGA Championship and second at the U.S. Open.
So these are really special because look, they're like half size. So
That's-
originally,
So the
it's
claret
good old
jug.
claret jug.
Yep.
So originally, we weren't allowed to make a full size one as our replica. We had to do it ourselves. So I had these made by the Garrards, the Garrards of London, the Crown Jewelers. And you can't, but these are so unique because even on the flute, I've got all the names. It took him 3 months to engrave them. So these are works of art because all the names as best we can, and the plinths. So those are pretty darn special.
Can
What
you
else
drink?
do you want to say?
Can you drink out of the claret jug?
Of course you can. What a silly question. Yeah, look, it works. It's got its own little
Have
thing
you
in there.
had a drink out of the claret jug?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course. You've got to have a splash of claret, haven't you, at the claret jug? Whoa.
And then you have your. They give you a miniature Masters.
No, hang on.
Okay, all right. He's running like a little kid. It's like he's in somebody else's house here.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Oh, I love that.
These are really special. Where's the front door? Yeah, that's the right way around.
Oh,
So we didn't get these until 1990 was the first one. So I had to have another one for 89 made. Which year is this one? It's always nice when you can brag. Which one is that one? There we go. That is 1989.
your first
first
one. That's
Pretty good,
great.
eh?
That's great. Hey, it's great to always catch up with you. Thanks for
Sure. Guided tour of the trophy
Yes,
cabinet.
yes. Well, it's nice to have a trophy case. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's yours. That's yours in front of you, isn't it?
I got some sports Emmys here, but how about could I give you 3 sports Emmys for 1 claret jug?
No.
Okay, all right. 4 sports?
No.
Okay, all right.
That would be a
Okay, all right. Fair enough.
These are like well, I'm sure your Emmys are like babies to you as well, but these are babies.
Yeah. Well, you won those. I needed help to win mine.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, Fanny helped you too.
Yeah, she did a good job. Pulled the right club here and there.
Yeah. And you listened to her. Hey, thanks as always. Great stuff this past weekend. Thank you, buddy.
All right, cheers. Good to see you.
Nick
Take care.
Faldo. More phone calls, our best and worst, coming up right after this.